Thank you for listening. This is the 26th Annual Miracle Marathon, benefiting children's. And joining us now is Lauren. Lauren lives in New Berlin. And Lauren, we've talked to you before on the radio.
5 years ago, time flies.
5 years ago.
God, it really does.
Talking about Holden.
Yes.
And at the time, when we talked to you, Holden was 9 months old.
Yes.
But take us back to when he was 3 months old. What happened?
Okay, so 3 months old, infant, we woke up one morning and noticed he wasn't feeling well. He had vomited, he was, lethargic, and, we're new parents, and we're like, better safe than sorry, let's take him to our local emergency room. And very luckily, there was a physician there who immediately notified us that he had what's called SVT. So his heart rate was beating at 300 beats per minute. It's essentially like a bad wiring in the heart. And they said to us, he's an infant. We're going to give Children's of Wisconsin a call. And that's when the transport team came. We call them our Blue Angels, Bob and Jamie, who are now Uncle Bob and Auntie Jamie, and came and they took Holden in the ambulance. I rode with them, and little did I know, Jamie told me later that she was in the back with him, and she was on the, on the horn to the emergency room, saying like, this young boy doesn't look good, and you guys should really be extra prepared here. And they were. We arrived to the emergency room, and within minutes of being there, Holden coded. His heart stopped, and he stopped breathing. CPR was called, so CPR was done twice, and he was put on what's called ECMO. It's a heart-lung bypass machine, so it's life support. They refer to it as like a Hail Mary. So he was put on that for 4 days and survived. He survived.
And what are you thinking this whole time? This is your brand new baby, and he seemed okay, maybe a little that virus, and then all of a sudden your world changed.
Yeah, parents' worst nightmare. We're thinking, okay, maybe it's a stomach bug and he needs an IV or something like that. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine, and like I would be on my knees on the floor of the children's emergency room, screaming at the top of my lungs. But that's what happened, and he's alive, and it's a miracle.
The amazing thing, though, about your story is how many different twists and turns it takes.
Sure.
Because Holden's had so many things, and I think when you listen and hear what she's about to tell you, when you think about the fact that Children's has the ability to take care of each one of these issues, it really is amazing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
For example, he was diagnosed with autism.
Yes.
Okay, so talk about that and how Children's helps.
Right, so we were told upon discharge from here the first time, we're going to follow Holden for 5 years. There's going to be, therapies he needs and everything. He's not just going to bounce back from something like this. But he should be, he was behind developmentally. He wasn't walking, talking, but we were told that that's normal for a kid who's been through something like this. And by age 2, he should be all caught up. But age 2 rolled around, and we were plugged in here with so many different specialists and people who knew Holden so well that they were like, something else is going on. So, they noticed, like I said, he wasn't talking, but he could identify, every letter of the alphabet and every dinosaur, and he was stimming and hand flapping and toe walking, and so that's when they were like, let's go for an autism diagnosis, which we had done here, and sure enough, he was diagnosed with level 1 autism. So without that connection to this place and without them already knowing Holden, we wouldn't have known this early. And early intervention is so important for autism, and we were able to get plugged into all the necessary resources because of that.
Okay, so we have the first condition, the code blue, the cardiac arrest, the autism diagnosis, and then the dental center.
Yeah. Yes. He, somehow along the way, this boy bumped his tooth, and he had a dead tooth, and noticed one day that, shouldn't be a problem, but it became infected. So here we are again for Holden to get a tooth pulled. So punch number 3 on our punch card here at
Well, and a lot of people might not even know that there is a dental center here at Children's.
Yes, absolutely. And we wouldn't want to go anywhere else. When we saw the tooth, we were like, this is where we're going.
Yep.
No
Okay,
questions.
so were your Holden bingo cards at home?
Yep.
We've moved on from the cardiac arrest and the ECMO.
Yep.
and the autism,
Yep.
and the dental center,
Yep.
and then there's the broken arm.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about the broken arm.
So this was this kid. So this was a few months ago. I get a call from school. He's in kindergarten, and they're like, his arm's a little swollen. He fell on the playground. And when I got there, it was an understatement. It was at a place. I mean, the bone was broken, dislocated, the whole 9 yards. So I immediately was like, oh, we need an ambulance to stabilize him and bring him in. So when the EMTs arrived, I'm like a nervous wreck, and the first thing I say is, where are you taking him? And they're like, children's. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now you can breathe.
It's fine. We're all gonna be okay. So he was here. He had a surgery. So he's now had arm surgery here and is in a cast and totally healed now.
And then something else
Yeah,
a
you're
month
not done
later.
though.
But a month later, this was a good thing, right? The feeding tube transition.
Yeah. So one of the complications from the life support was that Holden has kind of like uncoordinated eating. So he's been on a G tube for 5 years. We've been administering feeds this entire time. And there is an incredible feeding team here, Dr. Megan Wall, shout out, love her so much, and the gastro team here. And they've been working with him to get him to eat and to get him off his tube. And Megan called me one day and she's like, good news, he is qualified for, well, they don't call it feeding camp. We started calling it feeding camp, so now they're calling it feeding camp. But this feeding camp where you're inpatient for 2 weeks and they wean him off the tube and everything. So we left, we stayed here for 2 weeks. We lived here again, and 2 weeks later he left, and he hasn't done a tube feed since, and that was maybe a month ago.
Okay.
Well,
That's
awesome.
excellent.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic news. That's really.
So Children's has really been here countless times for you, saving your child's life more than once.
More than once. This is our second home. This is the place we love.
And he is now a kindergartner.
He is.
All
Yep.
right. And I understand he's Mr. Social.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A teacher referred to him recently as a walking ray of sunshine at school because
Aw.
he doesn't remember what happened to him when he was 3 months old, but he still is. He's a kid who's happy to be alive. Like he's
Right.
just joyful.
And you
Yeah.
radiate that.
And that joy just radiates outward.
Yeah. Everyone he meets, they talk about Holden and what an inspiration that little boy is.
And without this place, there is no Holden. That's what's amazing.
Absolutely. Without this place, I would not have my son. My son would not be here. And I wouldn't be here because how could I live without my boy?
Right.
So
Well, thank you for sharing his story.
Yeah.
Wow. And I hope that we don't add any more boxes in your bingo card for
Right.
Holden.
Me neither.
Okay, we're done.
Me
We're
neither.
done.
Cross your fingers.
We will. Thank you so much.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you, and
Thank
great
you.
to hear about Holden, who is doing just fine as a kindergartner now. He's
Yeah.
doing great. Mr. Social, you're helping kids like Holden. You're helping families like this with the Miracle Marathon. Please make a difference. This is your chance to make your own mark, leave your own legacy, give back. It makes you feel good. It really does. You know the money is staying right here in our state, right here in Wisconsin, right here at Children's Wisconsin, and your money immediately goes to work to help these kids get better. 414-337-9554, and we have more Miracle Marathon on the way in minutes on KLH.